Greetings everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go through in detail a custom designed controller centered around the ESP32-C3 microcontroller. This controller board has all the little things that you would expect from a simple controller, so 6 buttons, a joystick, and is wireless capable. So I will go through each one of these features, how they work, so basically all the core components of the PCB. The PCB itself is very simple in my opinion, and there are not a lot of components that go around the microcontroller itself. So very easy to understand and get started with the ESP32 board. So my goal for today's video is to give a thorough understanding of how we can build a ESP32 board ourselves, and then you'll be able to adapt that to whatever you need to do for your projects. Now this video is going to be mainly hardware focused, but I will show you some startup code to basically test out the joystick and the RGB LEDs. The core of this board is a ESP32-C3 from Expressive. So obviously this is commonly used in loads of different projects, so you should be able to find example projects everywhere, and is RF certified. Its features, so you got 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi, and you got Bluetooth 5 on this as well, which includes low energy. Crucially, for our board that we're doing on this project, we have ADC pins and we have enough GPIOs we need for the buttons as well. We're not going to be using much else on this. We have a output for the addressable RGB LED, and we have the communication for the USB. Other than that, we're not going to be using I2C or SPI, for example. But this board does have it if you do need to use it. Now, before I go through the schematic and the PCB design in detail, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, which is PCBWay. Now, I've said a number of times in my videos before that one of the things I really like about PCBWay is their community projects, where makers can share their projects for others to use. And this is exactly where I got my project from. So this design and this circuit was not done by myself, but rather a person on PCBWay who's very kindly shared the project on there for me to use. PCBWay provides a comprehensive suite of PCB manufacturing services, catering to a wide range of needs from simple prototypes to complex multi-layer boards. They offer a range of materials, finishes, and design rule checks to ensure the final product meets your specification. And I've used PCBWay many times in the past, and I can tell you personally, I've never had any quality issues with them at all. Beyond their manufacturing services, PCBWay fosters a valuable community through their shared projects platform, which is on their website over here. Now, this online repository serves as a hub for engineers and makers, hobbyists, to share their PCB designs and project files with everyone else. It's a fantastic resource for discovering innovative hardware solutions, such as the one I'm showing you on this video. I also share all my projects on PCBWay Shared Projects community, so you can check out the other boards that I've done on my channel before if you want to. I highly recommend exploring PCBWay Shared Projects community. And when you are ready to bring your custom PCB design to life, PCBWay is an excellent choice. A direct link to their services and their Shared Projects platform is in the description below. One of the key components on this board is the analog joystick, which you can see on the screen now. Now the project only includes one, but we can redesign this in the future with 2 joysticks. This is a 2-axis input device. Internally, it has 2 potentiometers, I imagine, one for each axis, so the X and the Y. And then there's some mechanics that allow you to basically control the joystick in the X and Y direction. So as you move the joystick, the wipers of the potentiometers will change inside. So you've got 3.3 volts going in through the top, and we're connecting the bottom to the ground, and we've got 2 analog outputs, so Y-axis and the X-axis. Now we're feeding both of these signals into the ADC channels of the ESP32-C3. As you can see, we have a number of different ADC channels we could have used. So I think we've got 6 channels in total for ADC. We're using GPIO 0 and GPIO 1. So pins 18 and 17 for the X and the Y axis. So for this simple board, we are just using the onboard ADC. Later in the video, I will show you the code for this as well. So I've got it working in terms of the joystick, controlling the colors on the RGB as you saw at the intro of this video. Now powering this whole system, we've got 2 methods. The first one is a USB-C connector, as you can see over here. And the second one is a battery. Now, I don't have the batteries at the moment, though I have ordered them. So I need to test this circuit still, make sure it works. We are using a IP5306 battery management IC. Now, this IC will manage the charging process. So we can take in 5 volts from our USB-C connector. as you can see, goes in over here. It basically will regulate the current and the voltage that's going to the battery, which will be connected on this terminal over here, as you can see. Now, I've not used an IP5306 IC before, so it's got some interesting features. For example, this key pin over here, which basically I think has two functions. If you do a short press, it turns the power output on, and a long press, like basically a press that's longer than 2 seconds, will turn the power output off. So according to the datasheet schematic, we basically have a charging current on this of 2.4 amps. So it's quite a fast charger. So that's interesting because I typically use a TP4056 and I think that is limited to 1 amp. So over here on the datasheet, you've got the functionality of the push button. So if the button is pushed longer than 30 milliseconds but shorter than 2, the IC will identify the action as a short push, and that will turn on the step-up converter and the LEDs. If the push is longer than 2 seconds, then the step-up converter is closed and all the LEDs will be closed as well. Now this IC does include overcurrent protection, over voltage and short circuit protection, but I've not tested that myself. Now for the power control, we have a switch on here which the designer has included, and this basically just toggles the 5 volts going to the rest of the circuit. So we have a 5 volt coming in from the USB-C connector which can charge the battery. If the switch is basically toggled off in this position over here, then 5 volts or the output from IP5306 will not go to the 3v3 regulator that's over here. And basically that means that the microcontroller will not be powered on. So a simple switch to control the power. So we have already mentioned this, but we have a 3v3 regulator over here and it's LDO, so very simple. We only have a few components around it, as you typically expect on a LDO regulator. We do have a power indicator LED, which obviously you saw being turned on at the beginning of this video. Now for the controller buttons, we just have some push buttons. So you can see 6 in total. So up, right, down, left, and then like your select and start. So very simple design. As you can see on here, we don't have pull up or pull down resistors over here. That's because the ESP32 has them internally to the microcontroller, which we can enable with code. Obviously, the operation is very simple. The code is going to be very simple. They're just basic digital buttons. Now, before I go to the ESP32-C3 circuit and the components required for it, let's look at the final component in this board, which is basically the RGB LED. So we have one addressable RGB LED. Now, it's just for visual feedback, and obviously the circuit for it is very simple. You send this RGB LED serial data on a single line, which then the IC will turn that into red, green, and blue light, depending on what you want. Now let's quickly talk about the microcontroller and the components we need for it. As you can see, there's not a lot. We have 2 decoupling capacitors. So we have a 10 microfarad capacitor and a 100 nanofarad capacitor for the power input on the IC. We have a chip enable, which you can see goes to a push button and is pulled up to 3v3. And a 1 microfarad decoupling capacitor on that. And that's all the components you need to get this microcontroller running, really. So a 3v3 regulator and these capacitors. You can potentially miss out like a 10 microfarad capacitor and it probably will work fine. So let's quickly look at these 2 buttons. These switches are typically used to control the boot mode of the ESP32-C3, which is particularly relevant during the firmware flashing process. So one of these switches is usually connected to the reset. So in this case, that's switch 2. And you can see chip PU or power up, which goes to the enable pin. So obviously pressing this switch will cause the microcontroller to reset. The other switch, basically switch 1, is connected to GPIO9. GPIO9 is one of the strapping pins on this microcontroller, and its state or its like voltage level during power up or reset sequence determines the boot mode. Holding GPIO9 low during reset will force the microcontroller into serial download mode, and if you leave it floating, it'll just run its normal code. This circuit is needed to flash the ESP32, and obviously this is for power stability. You don't really need the 0 ohm resistor over here, and you have a pull-up resistor on the enable pin. So this is a very simple circuit for a controller that I think has a lot of functionality, and obviously you can connect it wirelessly to other devices. Now let's just have a quick look at the PCB design. Obviously it's very simple. So on the top side of the board, you can see we only have the ESP32, the analog joystick and the user buttons, as well as the kind of the boot configuration buttons. Lastly, we do have the ARGB LED as well on the top side. Everything else is on the bottom side. So if I just show you that quickly, we have a holder for the battery, which is like taking majority of the space. We have a regulator, which is the 3v3 regulator down here. We have our charging circuit, which is the IP5306, and the USB-C connector, and the on-off button. So in terms of the PCB design as well, again, it's very simple, and it's very surprising how little components you need to make a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi capable board. Obviously, you can see it's not very densely populated at all. Obviously, you do need it a certain size as it is a controller. So the last thing, let's have a quick look at the code that I was basically running at the start of this video and what you can see on the screen now as well. So first of all, I've just defined the locations of all the pins and included the NeoPixel library for the addressable RGB LED that we have as well. So all the pin definitions, so we have our joystick X-axis and the Y-axis on 0 and 1. We have the 6 buttons, which we're not using in this project, but I've defined them anyway. We have the addressable RGB LED. We have the number of LEDs in this line, which this code I've borrowed from my previous project on the ARGB panel that we did. So if you wanted to add more LEDs, you can do so. Now I'm just defining a class that's included in the NeoPixel library over here, and that's to initialize the pixel. Now in the setup code, we have the serial begin. What you do need to do is, if you're running this for the first time, is if you go into tools, and then this setting over here, which is USB CDC on boot, you need to make sure that it's enabled, and that will basically let you print to the serial monitor using this code over here. So we basically start the serial. So we have the code for the addressable RGB LED. We initialize the buttons. So I've written a function over here, which just turns them into inputs. We don't need to do the analog inputs because they're read directly without initializing. And then at the start, I'm just doing a rainbow cycle, which just flickers or changes some colors on the ARGB LED. And then we go into the main loop. We read the X and the Y axis, which is basically the 2 analog pins from our joystick. We print them to serial, which you can see down here. So you can see if I change the Y position, all the way to the top, it's 220, and all the way to the bottom is 4095. And the X position goes from 139 to 4095, which is basically the maximum for the ADC. I'm basically mapping those numbers to 255 for the RGB LED and printing them out down here as well. So you can see the red and the green. So the red changes with the Y-axis and the green changes with the X-axis. So after mapping them to 255, I just pass the values to the LED and you can see the colors change. And that's basically the code. Very simple, and obviously it's just a test code. Now I will be developing this code further with the Bluetooth code, and hopefully we can connect that up to a phone or something like that to control a game. That would be nice if it's possible, but I need to do some research on that first. I'll make another video of it when I get that working. So once again, a big thanks to PCBWay for sponsoring this video, and a massive thank you to the 2 members who have joined my channel. I really appreciate the support for the channel, and it helps me keep making these videos, so thank you very much. See you next time.